Karen,
Yes.
I swear, every time she comes on, you get this glow about you, like you've plugged into some kind of Wi-Fi or something.
Well, I've plugged into Anjie.
Wait,
That's better than Wi-Fi.
That's right, because you are, right? Now, see, she's back,
Yay!
right? For the third time, no less. One of our all-time favorite guests, and honestly, it's kind of like a family reunion by this point, right? Now, you know her as a channel for the Oprah of the cosmos, Judah, the angelic collection from the fifth dimension, but we know her as a woman who somehow brings tears, laughter, goosebumps, and cosmic mic drops all in under an hour. If you're ready for soul level wisdom, loving truth bombs, and a reunion with 350,000 of your closest angelic friends, don't you dare hit that skip button, because the Skeptic Metaphysicians starts now.
My name is Will.
And I'm Karen.
And unlike Mulder and Scully,
we both want to believe.
So we've embarked on a journey of discovery.
We've talked to people deeply entrenched in the spiritual and metaphysical world.
We've thrown ourselves into weird and wonderful experiences. I even joined a coven of witches.
And wait, you joined a coven?
Yep, all in the interest of finding something.
Anything.
That will prove that there's something beyond this physical,
three-dimensional world we all live in.
This is the Skeptic Metaphysicians.
Hey there, I'm Will.
And I'm Karen.
And okay, fam, this one is special. Not just because she's back for the third time, which might officially make her part of the Skeptic Metaphysicians crew, I might add, but because every time she's here, the energy just feels different. Anjie Hipple is a channel for Judah, a collective of over 350,000 angelic beings. Yeah, you heard that right. They've been called the Oprah of the cosmos, and once you hear them speak, you will understand why. She's also the author of The Answer to All Your Questions and creator of the True You Accelerator, but honestly, labels barely scratched the surface. And if Karen looks a little extra radiant this episode, it's because she's literally a part of this Judah collective herself. Yes, we have settled that. So settle in, because you're about to reconnect with a whole lot more than just an amazing guest. Welcome to the show, Anjie Hipple. How are you doing today?
I'm so great. It's wonderful to be back with you, Will and Karen. Feels like home, feels like family. I'm so glad to be here.
100%, you are family.
We are so excited to see you again.
Right, but not like the dysfunctional family that always argues and stuff like that. But like
not the Thanksgiving table family.
No, right, the nice family thing. So it's nice to have you here with us, Anjie.
Thank you. So good to be here. We're gonna have a great time together.
Yes, indeed. I know that before we started recording, I gave you a heads up that I wrote some hard questions, and I don't know whether you want to answer them or you want Judah to answer them, but we're gonna dive into them little by little. But before we do that, for those of you who have not heard or watched our previous episodes with Anjie and Judah, I urge you to go back and watch those, because those are amazing episodes. But if you don't want to leave this episode right now, Anjie, give us a 350,000 foot overview of who Judah and you are.
Well, Judah kind of popped into my life in a really pronounced and obvious, can't turn it off, ignore it, pretend it didn't happen kind of way about 3 years ago. I think they are my angel soul family. They are my higher self, or my higher self originates from this collective. And I'm sure they've been with me all along, for however long my soul's been doing this soul journey thing that we're doing. But like I said, about 3 years ago, they just came in like gangbusters, and this kind of undeniable, can't ignore it anymore kind of way, with a direct voice channel. I hadn't planned on being a channeler at all. That wasn't not like on my wish list. It wasn't, something I aspired to do, but I enjoyed channeling, and it had been an important part of my own spiritual growth. And and then there they were. So, and here we are now.
Like it or not, here we come.
Yeah, total life change and change of direction, and absolutely glorious and fun and exciting, and with change of thing.
And it is incredible. The number 350,000. I can't even imagine what that would feel like.
I can't imagine 3.
Right? I can't get you out of my head.
I know, I don't know how many people show up for this Super Bowl, but sometimes when I watch the Super Bowl, I think, yeah, this is about how many angels there are in the Judah collective, maybe.
There might be more actually than that, but
yeah, that's true.
But what I love about the way you described Judah, the first time you came on the show, you described them like they come in and out like a flock of birds. I thought that was like a really cool visual to give you an idea of
Mhm.
the kind of collective that we are speaking to a lot of times when we speak with you. So, um,
Right, like, they're not like individuals, they move like this swarm of birds, which is so fascinating if you've ever had the privilege of seeing a swarm of birds or a school of fish,
yeah,
like, how do those when those fish swim like that, how do they stay in this perfect synchronicity of movement? But this is how they operate, and it helps us
wow,
understand a little bit because, as humans, it's always a challenge just to kind of get along and be kind. But they don't have that problem.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Definitely. In fact, in this 3D world, you get three people in the room. They're not going to have people agreeing with stuff, but 350,000 of them. That's pretty
In
intense.
agreement.
Yeah.
Imagine 350,000 choosing one person to speak for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, it's just a fraction of what they have to offer that it can actually come through me because I kind of have this sense that if all of their power and wisdom and insight came through at once, I would probably, like, disintegrate or dissolve or so I'm not sure exactly, spontaneous combustion, something like that. But, and I'm sure that I'm not always a pure channel because, I'm sure I have moments where my ego gets in the way or my own perceptions or ideas about things, seep into the mix.
Mhm.
But, I do my best to stay out of the way and just let them come through as cleanly as they can and
And I
with
love
as
how
insight as they can.
I love how you say that because when you say sometimes your ego might get in there, that's such a humble way to present what you're doing when you're letting Judah come in and communicate with you. Most people would be like, "Oh, no, 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 it's just them." But you're like, "Well, I do my best," and you can feel it. And even just the way you talk about it, just that graceful image, and it's just so beautiful and loving. And thank you for coming back.
Privilege.
Yeah. And I know that a lot of the wisdom that Judah has imparted through you for the last however many years bound to have rubbed off on you. So sometimes it's whether we talk to Angie or we talk to Judah, we get incredible answers, incredible information. So in light of that,
Ooh.
we're going to dive into the biggest questions of the universe. And then it's up to you or Judah, whether it's Angie answering us or Judah answering us. It's really up to you guys. We'll play it by ear. And if there's anything that you don't feel like you want to answer, well, too bad. Just
No.
kidding.
That's
Just kidding.
white knuckle it right through. Well, before you ask your first question, I just want to
Yes.
speak to that because, we're all kind of consumers in a spiritual space here, right? Like anybody that's here listening is here because you want to be a better person. You want to be more of your higher truer self. You want to expand into your more enlightened state. That's why we're here. This is what we do in this space. And so how do you know, right? What's the right thing for you to listen to or what's going to actually be helpful or work? So when you angels generally, if you think of about if you imagine in your mind a scale of consciousness, and you can actually Google and find a scale of consciousness, if you think of 0 being, totally unconscious, in
Mhm.
total despair, suicidal, at the end of your rope, and 1,000 being a very highly enlightened state like Jesus and the Buddha and Lao Tzu, right? A fully enlightened master. And then beyond 1,000, really, we can't physically stay in a physical body and experience once we go beyond 1,000 because it's too much energy for our physical form. But Judah angels, they calibrate around 5,000 in the scale of consciousness.
Wow.
Archangels calibrate in the hundreds of around 150,000 or so. So what is like the reason for channeling, right, is to get in this high vibrational container that really elevates our level of consciousness. It gives us a different kind of 360 perspective of life, our circumstance, the cosmos, what's going on in the world. And it really helps us to grow because we're in an environment, a vibrational environment that's so elevated. And so that's kind of the point, right, of asking these questions that you're going to ask.
Absolutely. Because we know you have the answers. That's why we asked the question. Okay. Well, thank you. That was beautifully said. I really appreciate
And
you
I
saying
feel like
that.
she already answered a question with that.
Um,
I mean, a question I didn't even know I had.
See, that's how good you and Judah
Right.
are, Angie. You just answered the question before we even asked it. But so I guess the first question is really about the true nature of reality as Judah sees it, because we talk a lot about fifth dimension and seventh dimension and three dimension and all that kind of stuff. So what is the true nature of reality in the fifth dimension? I'm sorry, as they see it from the fifth dimension. Is what we perceive here in 3D just like a sliver of the full picture, or what is really reality?
Mhm, 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 mhm. Yes, we would love to speak to this. This is a beautiful question. There are, as you hear, many in this space talk about none of this is real, it's just a game, and so on. Well, this can be difficult to ingest or understand, but we recently gave this vessel an experience of this in the night in which she awoke in a black void, which, and overlaid upon this void was a grid. And in the grid, as she moved her head or turned her head side to side, the entire grid moved. So it is you are the game of life that you are playing is much like a video game, and but the true you, the higher self you, the perfect, innocent, supreme, divine God aspect of you is like the player outside of the game holding the controller. Mhm, mhm. Yes. So good. I love this. So I actually had an experience recently of this, and more as I go into this work, I try not to speak to things too much unless I've actually experienced it. So I've heard all this teaching about, well, this is all just a game. We live in a matrix, all this, but I wasn't sure about it because I didn't have firsthand information about it. So in this dream experience, I actually encountered myself inside a hologram. And when I would tilt my head or turn my head, the whole entire matrix would move with me. So, when Jane from Seth Roberts, the channeler of Seth Roberts, way back in the day, I think the 60s or 70s, she was the first one that introduced us through Seth to this idea that we create our own reality.
Right, the
Well,
set materials.
I'm actually experiencing this. I experienced it in this dream state. So we are creating everything going on with us. Our fifth dimension, each one of us has a personal field. Yes, yes, each one has a personal field that exists in the fifth dimension. There is a personal field of Will. There is a personal field of Karen, of Angie, of every person on the planet. Inside this personal field is every thought, feeling, experience, impression that you've ever had in any realm of time and space, any lifetime, past, parallel, present, or future. All of this information is stored in your personal field. This is your own personal Akashic record, so to speak. And so when you are operating in your higher self, you are tapped in, tuned in to this personal field. You are withdrawing your perspective. You are drawing your perspective from this field. Judah is the field of Anjie Hipple. In this field are all the angels of the Judah collective. Every experience she has ever had is kept within this field. When she speaks from this field, she has the wisdom of all of these various experiences and perspectives of life and the cosmos. Each of you has your own personal Judah. Each of you has your own personal field, and every incarnation which you have ever had and ever will have is resonant within that field. In this field is the perfection of consciousness. You are innocent, you are divine, you are blameless, you are without error. You have access to all information there. When you tap into this field and use it as the resource to fully source your life, you are in abundance. There is no lack or limitation. Everything you need to know or understand for the living of your life and the expansion of your soul can be found there. I think that answers some of the question, but maybe not all of it. Do you want to direct me back to it? Or?
No, I want to say that I believe more and more every time we see you, you're integrating more and more with Judah, because just like the
Yes.
flock of birds,
Mhm.
the swarm of birds that we talked about earlier, it's like you answer, but you start to answer and Judah comes in and finishes the answer, and then you come back out. It's like this wonderful dance that we're watching as we're hearing and
It
watching you
is. It
speak.
does get easier as the weeks and months and years go by because I have to do the really hard work in between channeling of looking at my own crap and my own mindsets and blocks and ego barriers and whatever it is, fears, pride, whatever. And as I keep surrendering those, I can integrate more fully in with Judah and be more receptive and channel more of who they are,
Wow.
less of just me. Yeah.
Yeah, I can totally see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, I got the answer I was looking for, but as a follow up, the big question that we have heard from people is this period of human society is so intense.
Mhm.
Why is it that we have chosen to incarnate in this particular period where it's so intense, it's so difficult, so challenging for some people?
Mhm, 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 mhm. Yes, because yes, it is so very, very challenging, but this is the catalyst. This is the tension. So they're showing me us in a slingshot, like this massive cosmic slingshot, and it's like each individual is in the back of this slingshot going to be catapulted forward, but there's so much tension on these rubber bands or the of the slingshot. Yes, yes, yes. So there is so much tension here, intensity, density, intensity, tension, but it is because this will be the very force which will catapult you forward into your beauty and your perfection and your innocence and your power. Mhm. And you've chosen this. And so when difficult things are happening, embrace it. Say, this is my catapult. This is the tension that is going to propel me forward. And rejoice in that and use it as your spiritual practice. The resistance is the setup. And so don't resist the resistance. Cease resisting the resistance, and then the resistance will serve its purpose, which is a high purpose. Good. So, another metaphor for this would be like a kite, right? If you think of a kite, the higher the kite flies, the more it goes up into these heavenly realms, the more tension there is on the string. So these experiences in the earth reality is like, this person holding the kite string on the ground, the earthbound experience. So the choice that's being offered then is, when we're a kite and we want to fly higher and higher and truer and brighter and towards the sun, metaphorically speaking, but if we complain about the resistance, right, and focus on the resistance, but what happens if you cut the string? Well, there's no more resistance, but guess what? You're also not flying anymore. Right. So the
You
resistance actually creates the possibility of flying higher. And the higher you go, the more resistance there is.
Right, you cut the
Yeah.
string, suddenly you're plummeting to the ground
Yeah.
to
Just
your
like the
death.
catapult. If you get rid of the resistance, it's just going to flop down. It's not going to shoot.
Right. Well, the funny thing is when she was talking about the tension and like a slingshot, all I can think of is like that, that
Oh, sorry.
cartoon when it lets go and you're like, "Ah!" That's kind of like where, kind of like I'm feeling these days.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. But it's interesting because it makes it's such a wonderful way to put it. It makes it easier to understand and to handle the stress and the tension and the resistance when you can
Yeah.
look at it that way. Because right now, so many people you have it and you want to get rid of it because it's uncomfortable and it hurts. And you hear the adage, well, you can't appreciate the good without having the bad. I don't know how much I believe that, but
Mhm.
you do need both.
Yeah.
But the way that Judah and Angie explained it is just so much better.
Yeah. No, and it's true that the tension, that's part of it. It's
Yeah.
it's what's going to hone us for what's
Mhm.
coming. It prepares us for what's coming. I love that answer. Uh, totally not what I expected, but
Yeah,
I'm
it's
really
like
happy
those little
that.
cars, and you gotta like keep putting them back, and then you let go, and they shoot forward.
Right,
We're like
right,
in the pull it back process.
right. Yeah. Well, following up on that, then there's a lot of folks that not just feel the tension, but they feel almost like alone, like spirit has abandoned them. What would you say to people who feel that aloneness, even though we know they're not, they feel that way? How can someone
Yeah.
come to terms with that?
Well, these thoughts and feelings we have, we can know in our conscious mind that we're not alone and that angels are here and supporting us. But subconsciously, as Judah was speaking about our personal field, in our personal field, in the fifth dimension, there are these memories, these stored thoughts and emotion, these memories of times when we weren't supported, when we weren't held, where there weren't people there for us. So, this is such a great question. I actually was working with a gentleman this week in a group healing session, and he said he just brought we call it in our group healing, call it the peaches and pits. I said, it's, share your peaches, the fruit, but share the pits too. So here's my pit, he said. And this precious gentleman is homeless. He's living out of his car. He's in extraordinary pain, physical pain, and he doesn't have the resources to get the healing he needs. And he said to me in this session, I keep calling out to Judah and they don't answer. I keep speaking to my angels and guides and no one's coming to help me, tell me and so I hear that for anybody that's suffering. So as I tapped in with Judah showed me a picture of him in a crib, and he was crying and screaming and crying and screaming and crying, and his mother didn't come, and nobody came. And so in our moments of pain, in our human suffering, in our experience, we store in our cellular structure, in our memories, in our personal field, we store these subconscious beliefs. So consciously, we may know angels are there for us, but we have this subconscious belief: when I'm in pain, no one comes for me. When I call, no one answers me. So this sweet little baby boy that called out and no one came, was stored in his inner being as a subconscious belief. When I'm hurting, I'm in pain, no one answers me. And so he was projecting that false belief onto angels. And so this was literally creating a block so that he could not receive the breakthrough. So, one of the most important things that we focus on, obviously, we're channeling Judah, but we also like to get down and dirty with people and get into these beliefs, find them, locate them, and clear them from your personal field in the quantum field so that they're not hanging you up anymore. And I know that gentleman's going to send me an email any day now with and say, I know Judah heard me because this changed and this changed and this changed. But we had to get rid of that subconscious belief first and
Right.
replace it with the truth.
So how do you get rid of that subconscious belief? So he can you can see it and acknowledge it, but how do you truly get rid of it?
Yeah, I love this. So we have a really inexpensive program called Judah Treats that you can sign up for to learn how to do this for yourself. But let me give you the answer now because I want to be really generous here. So whenever we're experiencing something painful, it's because we've developed a belief system around that. So our conscious mind processes 40 bits of information per second. Our subconscious mind processes 40 million bits of information per second. This is the science of it. So we can consciously want to grow, consciously want to be abundant, consciously, do our spiritual work, like showing up for skeptic metaphysicians and so on. But if we have these beliefs in there, they can override. And so it's kind of like we're singing two songs, right? Like if I said, Will, sing Happy Birthday and Jingle Bells. You could do that, but you couldn't do it at the same time. You can't sing two songs at the same time. So, anytime we're producing something in our life that we don't want, it's because consciously we may want a certain thing. We may want to live abundantly, but we have these subconscious beliefs. Like here's a big one. Many of us want to be more abundant financially, but we have this subconscious belief that because we watch people on the world stage that were very wealthy, but they're wicked and non-integrous, and so we have this unconscious belief that rich people are wicked and unintegrous. And so the part of us that wants to be loving and kind and good and generous and integrous will not allow us to be financially abundant. So we have to clear out the subconscious belief. So going back to your question, how do you do it? So here's this milieu of all of these beliefs tucked in there. So we asked Judah, please tag and treat the belief that is causing this experience right now. Maybe you don't even really know exactly what you're feeling. You just know something's really wrong. You keep producing this bad fruit, right? Judah's taught us that if you got the fruit, you got the root. Right?
Mhm.
So if you're saying all the mantras and doing the affirmations and doing the meditations and listening to all the books and doing all that and you still don't have that, we'll just use financial abundance as an example, it's because you have a root. If you got the fruit, you got the root. Bad fruit, bad root. So you know there's a belief in there somewhere. You may not know what it is. So you say, Judah, angels, Archangel Michael, whoever you have a connection with, please find the subconscious belief that's causing this fruit, this in my life. Please tag it and treat it and do a massive change history in every realm of time and space and every reality, every frequency band, every dimension. So, we don't always know what the belief is, but a lot of times, if you just sit in meditation, the fruit will indicate to you what the belief might be. So I'll give you an example. There was a beautiful young woman that came to see Chuck. My husband used to be an acupuncturist. He's a brilliant healer. And he was known in our city as the baby whisperer because he had a lot of luck with getting women pregnant that were having infertility issues.
Not personally pregnant, but fertility
No,
wise.
no, not in that way. Yes.
I just want to clarify that because that sounded a little weird. I don't know.
Thank you for that. You had my back there, Will.
Definitely.
So with acupuncture. Uh, so this beautiful young woman came to him with infertility issues, and typically Chuck would have been able to help her get pregnant right away with acupuncture, and she didn't. So he knew there was something going on. So he checked in with his guides and his intuition, and he says to her, "Sweetie, I think you've got an unconscious belief that's keeping you from getting pregnant. I want you to think about this while you're laying on the table." So he did the treatment. She was laying on the table with the acupuncture needles in. He popped back in a few minutes. He said, "Is anything coming up?" She said, "Yes." She said, "I remember when I was a little girl, I asked for a particular doll for my birthday. And my mom bought me a doll, but it wasn't the one I wanted. When I opened the package, the present, and I saw it wasn't the doll that I wanted so badly, I kicked it." She was little, maybe 3, 4, I don't know. And she said her mom looked at her and said, "If that's the way you're going to treat your dollies, you can't be a mother. No mother would treat their child like that. You'll never have children as long as that's the way you treat your dollies."
Wow.
So, see, in that
Wow.
moment, those words landed in her inner being like a curse, and she was hurt, and she took in a belief, a judgment that I am not worthy to be a mom. I am not worthy to be a mom. And so she had long forgotten that. Long forgotten it, maybe hadn't thought about it in decades, but in that moment, she got free of it and she got pregnant right away. So this is why we say, Judah, tag and treat. So imagine if you had a herd of 1,000 cows and you wanted to not lose track of one of them, you would tag its ear so you could find it again later, right? So when something is coming up for you in the moment, a discomfort, a pain, angst, anxiety, road rage, whatever's coming up in the moment, in the now moment, you say, Judah, please tag and treat this in all realms of time and space. Treat everything associated to this. So, like if your wife, let's say somebody has a controlling wife, she's just being a little bit of a nag. Well, she might have never been a nag or never been controlling prior to meeting you. Maybe your mom was extremely controlling. So you've got this belief, a subconscious belief that women are controlling, women are nags, wives are nags. And so you marry a beautiful, loving, kind, precious woman who doesn't have a controlling bone in her body, but because you believe in your subconscious being that women are controlling their nags, she will ultimately become that. And you will reap that fruit in your life. You become the thing you hate or you reap it in a mate. Yeah. So if you can stop blaming your wife for being controlling and being a nag in this example I'm using, and instead look inside, what do I believe about women? What do I believe? And when did this belief come to be in me? And just feel into that and say, Judah, or whoever your team of guides are, please tag and treat this in all realms of time and space and replace it with a positive self-empowering belief. Like women, all the women in my life give me the freedom to be who and what I am. They let me do my thing and they support me in it. Right.
Wow.
So that was a long answer to a really important question, Karen. And to anybody that's intrigued by what I'm saying, I would highly recommend signing up for Judah Treats or coming to one of our monthly Judah Treats events, because you can actually, everything we do at the Judah channel is not to make you dependent on us. It's to empower you to do exactly what we're doing. So when you're coming to us, like for one of these events, we want you to walk away actually knowing now how you're going to clear these subconscious beliefs for yourself.
Mm. And we're going to add a link in our show notes so people can access your platform easily, because to this day, I still get Judah's daily quotes and I love them. So,
I love them. Too.
um,
I say, wow, did you just say that? I really needed that.
yeah, yeah. But you brought up a point that I think I've got to call out because it's really fascinating to me. The question of free will.
Mm,
Because if now suddenly my mate becomes someone that she is not, isn't that a form of me bending that person to what my needs are instead of what who they are, their free will? How does that how do you justify that, or not justify, but how do you align that in your thoughts?
yeah, this is about unconsciousness. So you see, if the young, sweet wife were conscious in the relationship, she would be aware that she was being defiled or being magnetized or to behave in a way that wasn't true to who and what she really is. However, she's not conscious of these dynamics of which we are speaking. Yes, she could begin to morph into something that is not true. This is exactly what the ego is, what you're speaking of here. It's embedded in your question.
Mhm.
How do we get tangled up in these dynamics? The ego is all about this. The ego is not an enemy. We want to say that. We don't want you to polarize yourself with your ego. The ego is simply the ways in which each and all of us adapt to life. It's the ways in which we sacrifice who and what we really are in order to survive our environment and our situations and our relationships and our cultures and so on. And so the ego is basically an animalistic instinct of survival. And so yes, so become aware that you do have free will, and become aware of these dynamics of which we speak, and then in that way you can disentangle yourself from them. Yeah, so talking about free will, have you ever seen a Jenga game? Do you know that little game with the wooden blocks, you stack them on top?
Yeah, the most stressful game ever because you're waiting for it to topple over.
Well, if you think of this game, like let's imagine a couple or a family, maybe with a child. And so each each one presents their wooden block, their piece to this Jenga puzzle. And we all tend to adapt ourselves in order to accommodate one another. We give up parts of who we really are in order to have peace, in order to thrive. Yeah. And so we can develop these ego structures. Yeah. And so let's say in the example we were talking about earlier, a husband and a wife, and the husband has these beliefs that women are nags, and so she adapts, right? So if the woman becomes conscious, because your question was, oh, what about free will? Let's say she wakes up, she's conscious, she understands she has free will in the relationship. She understands that this controlling way in which she's responding is not who and what she really is or who she wants to be. As she pulls her piece out of the Jenga game, then it allows for the ego structures and the way that she and her husband have adapted, and maybe their children, to one another with these ego strategies. as she pulls it out, it gives the opportunity for the whole structure to collapse. We are all operating in ego, in energetic entanglements all the time. We have these Jenga games at work. We have them in our families. We have them with our societies and so on. So we have to learn how to focus on ourself, minding our own business, being hands off with others. And so in this situation, if the wife finds herself being a nag and being controlling, and she doesn't want to be that way, to have the presence and the consciousness to spend time in meditation, to address her part instead of pointing back. But if he would just Judah has taught us no Jada, justify, argue, defend, and explain. When we find ourselves operating in J, justifying, arguing, defending, or explaining, we know we're operating from an ego state. So if we can have the consciousness or presence of mind to stop and say, okay, what's going on? Judah, I'm really wanting to justify myself here. I want to argue, defend my point of view. Judah, please tag and treat this, whatever this is in me, this ego part that's being triggered. Because the goal with the ego is to help it relax. It's not to amputate it. It's a hurting part. It's a part that, just like with the little girl in the earlier example in the baby doll, she was hurt, right, in that moment. She was hurt because she didn't get what she wanted. And this is how children feel when they don't get what they want. And so it's not that she's bad or the ego's evil. It's when we're hurt, we form judgments. And if these hurts continue, we have these really strongly held belief systems, those roots systems. But if we'll address them right now, we will get free and then we'll have different fruit.
You said a mouthful. Holy smokes.
my gosh.
I don't even, so as a producer, I'm constantly thinking about, okay, what sound bites can I tag and use to help promote this episode? You just gave me like 15 of them, and I don't know which ones I'm going to be able to use. So,
See, and in the meantime, I'm just applying all of this to my life. I'm like, oh.
I want everybody to go away fat and sassy from this time.
Oh my gosh.
Time.
Wow.
Okay, so I'm going to move on to a different topic because I've got lots of questions that we're not going to get to, but I want to see if I can figure out which one makes the biggest bang for the buck right now. What is something that we forget about ourselves that you or Judah wish we could remember every single day?
That's a good question.
We want you to know that you are perfectly innocent in your consciousness. Your true self, your higher self, your fifth dimensional self is perfect, is blameless, is innocent, is rightly aligned with source, is love. You are love. You are love. You are love. You are love. Anything that is not loving in you in the way that you think or behave or maneuver in the world is not you. It is the ego. And the ego, as Anjie was saying earlier, is simply a way that you've adapted yourself in order to survive in the density of earth life. But it's not who you really are. This is like you are like a beautiful antique in a garage sale, and people keep passing you by and will only give $5 or 10 for it. But underneath is something priceless, something extraordinary. And why is it that you don't see what and who you really are? Because there are layers and layers and layers of paint, color upon color, layer upon layer, layer upon layer upon layer. And so the ego is this, it is the ways, these layers of paint, so to speak, on top of the beautiful perfection that you are. So allow these things to be stripped away and don't get discouraged in the process. Some of you say, oh no, there's more ego. Darn, I thought I was done with this. Don't get discouraged. Keep going. Keep stripping off what's not you. Take back your power from the people, places, and things that you've given it away to. Keep letting these shedding. Know this. You are love. You are perfect. You are always in the realm of heaven, your higher dimensional self. We, Judah, we are Angie's higher self, and we are only love, only joy, only peace. We never judge.
We never, ever, ever judge anything. We never punish. We want you to never feel guilty about any choice that you make. If you make a choice and you don't feel good about it, and the ego then will try to flip the coin and cause you to feel guilt or shame about it. And that's just more of the same. We say, don't feel guilty about anything. Just decide who and what you want to be that is different. You are love. You are perfection. You are only goodness. You are wisdom. You are fully connected to source and angels. Anything that tells you otherwise is simply just another layer of paint, a subconscious belief, and an adaptation. And if you allow these things to be stripped away, you will begin to see yourself shining through as the perfection and the treasure that you are. You are a treasure in the earth. Never, never, ever do we want you to be burdened by anything. Move away from burdens. Move away from burdensome things. And if you can't move away because of the situation that you find yourself in, use it as your spiritual practice. Say, right here, right now, I'm going to get free. I'm going to get free. And I'm going to be the loving, perfected, enlightened being that Judah said that I am. For you are all enlightened. You are all enlightened beings. You're just in a process of remembering this and allowing yourself to be it. Allowing yourself to be it. You are all Christ. You are all Buddhas. You are all Judahs. What is the purpose of even a meeting like this and being in our presence at this time? When you come into the Judah field, the Christ consciousness field, the Buddha field, you begin to have insight. And you begin to say, oh, maybe, yes, maybe I am more than I thought. Maybe I can be. We are here to cast vision to all of you to be the new human, not the Homo erectus, but the Homo spiritus. Yes.
I love that. Homo spiritus.
Yes.
I'm going to make a t-shirt. I'm a Homo spiritus.
It's beautiful.
Okay, so full disclosure, we did not share these questions with Judah or Anjie before the interview, and I'm trying really hard to trip them up, but you have the perfect answer for every question that I throw your way. This is amazing. I mean, I even gave you an out. I said, if there's anything you don't want to answer, I mean, obviously, while we were recording, I said tough, but before I said, give me a heads up, and you haven't. You have answered every question that I had so far perfectly. Like, I don't know how there could have been a better answer to that question.
No.
Well, I'll let you in on a little insight too. So as we are talking, when I open my eyes again, when I come out of channeling, I see a white mist all around you guys. It's so beautiful. It's like you're sitting inside of this white light cloud. I can see it with my physical eyes. I don't see it a lot, but every now and then I have that privilege. And it's just a testament to if we will just do the work right of just the day-to-day practice of surrender, of letting go, of loving, of being kind, of meditating, we can elevate ourselves into a state of consciousness where we get these really profound experiences and answers. And you guys deserve it. This is a reward for you today, the two of you, for hanging in there and just continuing on in your lovingness, and beingness.
Oh, that means an incredible amount. Oh, you stop.
Every time.
There she goes.
Every time.
Tears always rolling every time.
Yeah.
It took longer than usual this time, but there they are. Anjie, thank you. Oh my gosh, that's incredible. And more than most some of the stuff that we've been through over the past few years. So you understand where a lot of this is coming from. And we appreciate you saying that. And I'm glad that we have that white mist. At first I was like, uh-oh. But it does feel like when I mentioned in the intro teaser and the energy shifts every time we're together. There's this, we just feels like we're in this containment, like this energetic bubble.
And you feel it underneath your skin.
Yeah.
I feel very full. Like, it's just amazing.
Yeah. And it's just glimpses of being, being this beautiful angelic people that we can be, loving
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. I'm going to say, yes, all the answers that we're getting is absolutely for Karen and I. I mean, we tell people all the time, we do the show for selfish reasons. That's for us, right? We do the show for us. But inevitably, we get a lot of folks that reach out and say, oh my gosh, that was incredible. This is just what I needed. Thank you for making me feel normal, all these different things. So to that point, your answer just now, when you were talking about non-judgment of ourselves and things like that, we also have to think about that for others, right? It's so easy to judge, to fall into judgment of others because you see them stuck in their ego or that you see them stumbling, whatever. Just as we are meant to not judge ourselves and understand what's happening and peeling back the layers, everyone's going through their own personal challenges.
Yes.
And we
Mhm.
have to be there to support them, not to judge them. That's really important to call out, I think, because I'm really bad at that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very
and
bad.
I think one of the ways where we kind of can fall into that trap is not understanding exactly kind of how the levels of consciousness work, right? Like, um, for instance, the Komodo dragon has a level of consciousness of 60, and what a Komodo dragon does is when it sees its prey, it bites it, it poisons it, and then it eats it. Okay, so we don't think of the Komodo dragon as being evil, right? We
Right.
just oh, that's just what Komodo dragons do, right? So Hitler also had a level of consciousness of around 60. The
Oh,
same
no kidding, really?
yeah. So see where we get tripped up and why we judge people is because we're expecting them to operate in a different level of consciousness than where they are.
Mm.
We're not understanding that they're just being what they are. And Judah has taught, yes, we want to speak about that. Understand that everybody is doing the very best they can with a level of consciousness that they are inhabiting at this moment in time. And there is no sin. The only sin is ignorance, as the Christ said. Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. So understand that everyone is doing exactly what is feels or seems right unto them based upon their level of consciousness. And so it is only, there's no need to judge because there is only this ignorance, you see. So then when you go back to World War II example, right, Winston Churchill was around 500 in the level of consciousness, which is in this realm of love. And it only took that one guy to step up and stop the whole thing
Right.
Mm.
because he was operating from love. And you can't have a debate or a diplomatic discussion with a Komodo dragon. It's not going to happen. Right? So
Yeah.
as we raise our level of consciousness and just on loving, insist on loving, insist on kindness, this is how we change the world. And so there's no need to judge. It's a waste of time. Everybody's doing exactly what they believe is right based on their particular level of consciousness. And to them, there is no discussion about it. They are doing what they believe to be right. And so it's kind of like, wouldn't it be silly as a school teacher, right? If I was teaching kindergarten, wouldn't it be silly if I expected my kindergartners to be able to do algebraic equations and I judged them if they couldn't do it? Or if I was a high school teacher and I had a 5-year-old in my class and I was upset with them because they couldn't do the material. It doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah, that's interesting. I just had a very similar conversation with our daughter. She was frustrated because in a math class, there is a student that is in kind of they get extra time because they're a little challenged as far as their education, their learning methods.
Mhm.
And she was saying, well, it's not fair. They got an extra, 10 or 15 minutes to finish this test, and then we didn't, and they can fix their things and we can't. And I said, well, honey, you can't look at it that way because you have different capabilities. You can't compare her to you because math is easier for you, or your brain works in a way that works better. So I think it helped her a little bit to realize, like, you have to really think also what the word fair means. And we just kind of got off onto these incredible tangents, but it was very similar. She was expecting or frustrated because this person she felt unfairly was getting more time when they didn't start on the same playing field.
Did
Exactly.
I mention that I was going to have a hard time picking out sound bites to use to promote this thing? It's like you slam the word of truth every time you
Yeah.
you give a single answer. Just Angie, give me a bad answer just once. Not a bad answer, but one that isn't like, oh my God level, right? Because Komodo, that I'm thinking about very recent past. people that have done things that would go, how could they possibly do that?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's their komodo, that's their level, and they're just being who they are. That's
Right.
And even thinking on a grander scale, maybe what they're doing at their level is actually helping us because we're having all of these tensions right now because of something.
back to the slingshot,
But we
right?
we need that tension in order to propel.
Right.
So they're having their part in our mass awakening.
Perfect full circle. That's incredible. Oh my gosh, Anjie, Judah, we need you here a lot more. Literally, I got 2 pages of questions, and I got
We'll do
through
it for next time.
4.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. For those that haven't yet been able to connect with you, what is the best way for someone to reach out and get connected?
Yeah, well, stop by and see us at thejudahchannel.com or the Judah Channel on YouTube. We have lots of things for free. We do a live stream every Sunday night on YouTube. We have a Telegram feed if you're looking for some spiritual community, a real, genuine family that's more than just a social media feed where people are, touting their side gigs, but really talking about these kinds of things, and you can ask questions, get help from wise people. We have what we call the mamas and papas on the feed. They're people that we have trained, that are really high flying folks, wise folks that you can ask for assistance from. So we have that to offer. We have lots of different free offerings, and then we have our seminal course, the True You Accelerator course, which is so life changing. Most people that take that course wind up channeling their own Judah before that course is finished. And it's just a really it's everything I've got. I put the whole kitchen sink into the course. To if you're a person that's on an awakening journey and you have a dream of being this person that Judah described, then come join us in the course, and it's a powerful experience. You'll be different on the other side of it.
Uh,
Most people get a pretty major bump in their level of consciousness from the
wow.
course.
I'm really glad you mentioned that because I would have been remiss had we not touched on it. Well, how long is that course?
Well, we offer it two different ways. We have a self-study, and it's put in a 10-week format, but you can take all the time you need. You have lifetime access to it. And honestly, there's so much in there that most people, so we have some folks that actually do it over again every year.
Oh, wow.
And because there's so much in it. And then we also have the journey of the true you. We've got one coming up in September. And in that one, you get 2 private sessions with me and Judah, and you get everything that we have to offer, the Judah treats, the course, and we have classes together, and we have a cohort of other seekers, in the class that you'll get to be friends with around the world and have access to support. And I answer your questions as you go through the class, and we do that in 12 weeks. And we have a healing with Judah every week in that class. You get an hour where you can present whatever's coming up for you, pain, hurt, these subconscious beliefs, disease, financial problems, whatever's coming up for you within the course. Judah will treat it for you right then and there in the course, in the class time.
Wow, that is incredible. And
Mm.
from if her answers and Judah's answers on this episode was not enough for you to convince you to reach out to her, there are 2 other episodes that you can actually reach back and get the wisdom from. Literally every time we talk to you, Anjie, our mouths are on the floor
Mhm.
because you don't just answer things lightly. You get to the root of them and you help us to become better people. So thank you.
And in such a joyful, loving, and emphatic
Yes.
way.
Yes. The energy is just so, we talk about it every
Holy
time.
moly.
It like blows us over, the energy that Judah brings with him. It's just incredible. So, Anjie, is there any last minute words of wisdom you want to make sure that you impart before we say goodbye today?
Well, let's just ask Judah if they have a goodbye
Okay.
soliloquy or something, or a joke, maybe. Who knows? Well, dear and precious ones all around the world, we love you so very dearly. Call our name, and there we will be. Yes. And even before you formulated the prayer or the intention, we are there, taking action and responding. We want to be there as a loving midwife for you, to birth in you the beauty and perfection that you are, and also to help you connect with your own beautiful angels and guides, and establish your own relationships with your cosmic friends and big brothers and sisters that support you. You are okay. We want you to know, wherever you are today, you are okay. If you are feeling in the depths of despair, or in the highest of heights, we will meet you right there where you are, be you in heaven or be you in hell. God is there. We are there. You are okay, and you are moving in the right direction. And we encourage you to keep showing up with this beautiful couple. For you will find in this container called the Skeptic Metaphysician, there is much wisdom and insight for the living of your life. We love you. We love you. We love you. We are prepared and ready to serve you. This vessel has created many loving resources for your best and highest good. And we look forward to getting to know you.
Judah, thank you so much. You just created our next Skeptic Metaphysicians promo reel. Slam! Talk about mic drop. All right, Anjie, thank you so much. Judah, thank you so much for coming on the show once again. We will definitely see you again really soon because we got lots more questions. And thank you for helping us to become better people.
Thank you, guys.